Coming up right now on Lifestyle Magazine. Are you at risk of having diabetes? What can you do to protect yourself and your family? And now, here's the host of Lifestyle Magazine, Mike Tucker.
Dr. Becky Chang and Dr. John McDougall have been good friends of Lifestyle Magazine for many years. Welcome to both of you. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, good to be here.
It's great. Now today, we've had a hard time deciding exactly what we're calling this program. We're talking about the fattening of America. We're talking about diabetes and people almost with diabetes. And so what is the problem with America? Why are we getting fatter?
I think we're a fast food nation.
Mm-hmm.
And the studies show that most people don't eat at home anymore. They're so busy.
Well, that's true for my life. It's hard for me to eat at home. I'm traveling a lot. I've got a lot of work that I'm doing, and so it's hard for me to find time to cook. My wife has the same kind of a schedule. I guess a lot of people find themselves in that same situation.
Let's agree that it's not a genetic problem. I mean, genes haven't changed in 50 years, or maybe 1,000 years, or certainly longer than that.
Yeah.
So, but often people blame it on their family history, or their doctor tells them you should have picked better parents, or all kinds of silly things. We really have to get past that, past some of the other excuses like stress or viruses or all kinds of things as to why people are sick. And Becky, she really hit on it. It's the food, the wrong composition of the diet. And there has to be a right composition. I think, Mike, what every listener ought to be asking themselves right now, for the sake of themselves, their spouses, their families, they ought to be asking, what is the right diet for people so they don't have to face diabetes or getting fat or getting osteoporosis or cancer. There has to be a right diet for people. Maybe we can define that in this show.
Maybe we can do that. What do you think that diet would be?
Well, I think that anything that you eat that your grandma would recognize is probably pretty good for you.
That my grandma would recognize.
Yeah, because now you go into the store and everything is 100-calorie snacks, and it's pretty much junk.
Yeah.
Just because it's 100 calories doesn't mean that it's not going to make you fat.
I have a way of kind of helping people understand, because they're all confused. I mean, there are people out there who teach you need to eat an all-meat diet, and some people see you need to eat as much meat will fit in your hand, and all kinds of silly things. Yeah. But I'll ask you a question that I would ask every one of our listeners if I had a chance to sit face-to-face with them, is if you look around the world, and you look at various populations of people all around the world, and you look at their general health, how young they look, how active they are, how trim they are, and you compare that to what they eat, are you struck by any populations of people that exemplify trimness and activity and youth? Can you think of any people that you'd name?
Nothing comes to mind right now.
How about Asians?
Well, yeah,
How about people in China or Japan?
That's true.
When they live in their native land now, okay? And what is their diet?
Well, it's certainly not fast food,
is
it?
It's rice. It's starch.
Rice, yeah.
They live on starch.
On starch.
And you can go to Peru.
And vegetables.
Yeah, of course. And they do eat a little meat and almost no dairy. But primarily what they eat is starch. You go to Peru, and they live on potatoes. You go to Papua New Guinea, they live on sweet potatoes. You go to rural Mexico, and it's corn and vegetables and maybe some squash and some beans. The key, what people need to understand, is wherever in human history, wherever on this planet Earth that kind of diet still exists, people avoid heart disease, breast cancer, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, diabetes. They're always trim, they're active, they're functional in their 70s and 80s. The key, the absolute key, and the thing that I would try and share with everybody, is you must change the composition of your food to starch. And people are going, oh, hey, starches turn to sugar and make me fat. Well, then why do 1.73 billion people who live on rice, why are they all thin? Because that's misinformation. And so people, they push aside their potatoes and their rice, and they eat lots of protein, good fats, and they end up fat and sick. That's the result of people's decisions. It's faulty decisions. It's fat people, sick people.
So you're telling me that diabetes, we're not talking about heredity here. We're talking about lifestyle issues for people who get diabetes.
Well, heredity does play a role in diabetes, because if your parents have it, you have double the risk of getting it. But just because you have the genes doesn't mean it's inevitable if, as John says, you eat right and you exercise.
Plus, parents, you don't just get genes from, you get an education. So, if your parents taught you to smoke or eat meat, that's what you're going to learn. And, you know, there are some genetic issues for sure.
Right.
But if you ate a good diet, they would never express themselves. And, you know, that's the message we have to get to people is, you know, being sick, getting fat is not inevitable.
Yeah.
You were designed to look good, feel good, function well your whole life. You just got to get the right set of rules.
You know, and the sad thing is now in America, only 1/3 of people are normal weight, 1 out of 3. And if you saw the documentary Super Size Me, you know that in 30 days of eating, we won't name the fast food joint, he got metabolic syndrome, he got high cholesterol, he got high blood pressure, and he gained 35 pounds in 30 days.
So what if you turned all that around? I mean, what if you took those 2/3 of people that are fat,
Right.
and we took them off of that junk, let's just categorize it as junk,
Right.
we put them on a good diet, maybe encourage them to walk around a little bit, what would happen? Get off their diabetic pills, their blood pressure pills, maybe their cholesterol pills, lose the weight, you know, have good intestinal function, feel good. Hey, we could have a whole new world.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Well, you mentioned metabolic syndrome. What is that?
Well, metabolic syndrome is when your sugar gets to be borderline, which is above 100.
Above 100.
When your waistline for women gets above 36 inches and for men above 40 inches. You know, I mean, you guys have pant sizes like 32, right?
Do you think?
And when you're
Getting personal.
Yeah, she is. It was
you're-
28 when I got married.
well, there, see, you know. But waist size is a big indicator that you're developing fat that you weren't born with. It's fat that you eat that stays there so you become apple-shaped. Then your blood pressure starts going up. Your whole body starts getting resistant to the effects of insulin from your pancreas.
So this is a precursor to
It can
You know,
be.
I think what's interesting,
Diabetes.
and what you just said is what's interesting is you look at people and they just don't have one problem like blood pressure
Right.
or cholesterol or elevated blood sugar. They got a whole bunch of problems. So to have all of those things go haywire, go wrong in the body, something really basic has to be wrong.
Right.
And what that basic thing that's wrong is the wrong fuel, the wrong composition of the diet. You compare the greasy burger with, say, a pasta dish or a bean burrito made of healthy beans, whole beans. I mean, you just look at the difference between the way they look. And basically, you just switch the composition of the food from the grease and the fat and the refined foods to a diet based on starch with fruits and vegetables. Really good food, by the way, and we maybe need to go into that.
Right.
And what happens? I don't care if you're a good person or a bad person, or your mother was nice to you, or you got picked on by high school students, fellow high school students. I don't care what the problems you think you're causing your diseases. You change the composition of the food, go for a walk, and you'll have health you never imagined.
changes everything. Well, we're going to have more with Dr. Becky Chang and Dr. John McDougall right after this break.
Why should you watch Hello Channel? Because learning English should be inexpensive and learning English should be available to everyone. If you want a brighter future, join us and say hello.
Welcome back. We're talking about the link between diabetes and lifestyle. So, what would be some things that we could do, some easy things to do if we're going to change our diet? Where would we start?
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, my mother always says you've got to have live food at every meal. Now, my sons would like to mean that means that something that was once living. I mean, that's live now. So we always try to have a lot of fresh fruit in the morning, and every meal we have raw vegetables, along with whatever we have as an entree. So carrots, celery, tomatoes, cucumber, there are all sorts of raw vegetables you can have.
I'd go back to my plea with starch. And it's very important that people understand the starch concept. And we're talking about rice, corn, beans. These are our comfort foods. Sometimes people, well-intentioned, think that they need to go on a vegetable diet, and they start eating pea pods and broccoli and cauliflower. They go, hey, I'll starve to death. Well, of course you'll starve to death. You must have that starch centerpiece. So what I ask people to think about is, what starches do you like? Quickly, many people will say, well, you know, I like oatmeal or various kinds of whole grain cereals, and they say, well, I like pancakes and French toast and waffles and huevos rancheros. We've got a new recipe for huevos rancheros. You know, let's start thinking about things for lunch, and you could say, well, how about a grain burger? You know, initially that bothers people who are in the American diet, but it's an easy transition, because what you like in a burger is the ketchup and mustard and relish. And, you know, go on to dinner and think about things you already like bean burritos made with a lot of whole beans, lettuce, tomatoes, maybe even that enchilada sauce you put over the top.
Avocados.
Yeah, you could have some avocado, particularly if you don't want to lose weight, because avocados are pretty high fat.
Yeah.
You could have spaghetti and marinara sauce, chili beans and rice, mushu vegetables, like lots of Asian dishes. We have published already 2,500 recipes.
Is that right?
But you know, you only need a few things. People are very monotonous in their eating. They eat the same thing for breakfast, the same thing for lunch, 2 or 3 things for dinner. So out of, you know, the thousands of recipes that are out there that are good for you, you pick 6 things you like and just eat them over and over. Put a little salt on. Most people tolerate a little salt, a little sweetener, your favorite spices, and you know, you got it without, you know, I mean, just half trying, you got it.
So if you're eating at a restaurant, what do you order?
Well, the first thing I always do is when they bring the butter to the table, because I do love bread.
Yeah.
I like whole grain bread, but I tell them to bring olive oil.
Okay.
Because part of the studies have shown that olive oil is what protected people's hearts in the French studies.
Okay.
Not the wine, it was actually the olive oil. So I like olive oil on bread. You can put olive oil on bread and roast garlic on top of it in the oven. It's great. Garlic's good for you.
We're
too.
talking really about Italian restaurants for some of the stuff that you're talking about.
Ethnic
with the pasta,
restaurants.
the pasta dishes, and the olive oil with the usually what is it, olive oil and pepper that they grind up and put there for the bread.
Personally, I skip the olive oil.
You skip the olive oil.
The fat you eat's the fat you wear, and wearing olive fat is not particularly attractive either.
But olive oil doesn't make you that fat.
No?
You know, unless you're doing huge amounts of it. Like I roast vegetables in olive oil.
Then we get into the moderation thing. You know, you're the kind of person that can probably do a little bit of olive oil. For me, if I gave myself free license to oil,
you're just going to be drinking it from
it would be enough to put on the pound. So, you know,
is that right?
Yeah, I have to be real precise about what I eat and don't allow, you know, a reasonable amount, because I don't know reasonable.
Okay.
So I have to make some rules that allow me to eat as much as I want, as often as I want, things that are really delicious. And I just make sure, you know, the fattening things like any kinds of oils are out of the diet. But you were talking about eating out. You know, our favorite place to eat out is Mexican restaurants.
Really?
And yeah, you go in, what are the first thing they give you is a basket of greasy chips, right?
Yeah, that's true.
No, you say, I'd like some fresh corn tortillas.
Okay.
So you dip them in the sauce, the fresh corn tortillas.
That works.
Next thing you order is you order yourself a meal that is whole beans. They always start with whole beans. They're there someplace in that restaurant sometime.
Someplace there.
So you get the whole beans, you get your corn tortillas, lettuce, tomatoes, and as you mentioned, some avocado if you don't need to be careful. Yeah, if you don't need to be careful with your weight, olives and they're healthy foods. Put your favorite hot salsa sauce on. That's an excellent eating out kind of meal.
Okay.
There are lots of vegetarian restaurants, but you've got to be careful about the cheese and the oil and the eggs and those kinds of places too. You can go to Italian restaurants. Basically what it is, Mike, is you pick ethnic food. And you go to an Italian restaurant, get the pasta and the sauces. You go to a Thai restaurant. One of our favorite places is Thai restaurants.
Is that right?
They all make the ingredients fresh. So you can get it just the way you want it. Green papaya salad, you get yourself a dish based upon rice and cooked without the oil. And Chinese restaurants are very easy to eat in too. So it's just a matter of deciding that when you go into that restaurant, you're going to get what you want, and then you'll get it.
Okay.
And quantity is important too. Now that I've passed the 50 mark, I think that you have to decide I am not going to eat until I am really, really full.
Yeah.
I need to stop a little short of that.
I don't think I can do that.
So, but of course, if you're eating the kinds of things you're talking about, you can go ahead and eat all of it. But if you're going to do moderation and eat some of the other things, then you need to stop before you get really, really full, right?
Yeah, there are moderate people, and I take my hat off to people like that. They can do that.
Right.
But there are a lot of people like me too, Becky, that just plain and simple, I can't be hungry. I don't like being hungry.
Oh, I hate
dread
it.
being hungry.
Yeah.
And so instead, I have to just make sure that the food I eat is really high quality food. And I keep the richness to a minimum. I can do that. I can fill up. I can eat 2 bean burritos, or a great big, huge, delicious, stir-fry Thai vegetable dish,
Right.
and I'd be full, satisfied.
Right.
But you couldn't sit me down in front of, as I'll say, my favorite food, pepperoni pizza when I was a kid. You can't sit down and tell me to eat a half a slice of pepperoni pizza. That's never going to happen. I mean, it's the whole pie or nothing. So, you know, if you're that kind of person like I am, you've got to set your boundaries. You've got to realize which things are going to take and make you fat, turn your body into a metabolic state where the blood sugars go up, the cholesterol goes up, the blood pressure goes up. And if you're tired of being sick and taking pills and facing a dismal future, all you do is change the composition of the food back to what it should be, and then answer your natural hunger drive.
And 2 no-nos that I always say is no juice. If you want to lose weight, concentrated juice puts on calories faster than anything. Because if you had to squeeze orange juice to make an 8-ounce glass, you'd have like 3 or 4 oranges.
Especially
you wouldn't
if you
sit
had it
there.
with olive oil.
Orange juice?
Well, I mean, you know, the point being
those don't mix well, though, John.
You're right. You know, sugars and fats together are a double whammy.
Yeah, they are.
And of course, what is
Okay.
what is dessert? But you know, ice cream with sugar and fat.
Yeah, that's true.
And
That's true.
you know, your pies and cakes. So I was just trying to add on that point.
Right.
The sugar can really, I mean, it raises insulin, stuffs fat into fat cells. So
Very true.
You know.
So no juice and no salad dressing. If you're going to make your salad dressing at home, because I hate the non-fat salad dressings that are commercial that you buy. You know, just do a little lemon. Lemon, olive oil, minced garlic, some spices.
Something of that nature?
Yeah.
Well, right after this break, you're going to meet a man who got into trouble, and he knows why. We'll be back.
This looks like hide and seek, but it's not. Kids often withdraw when their needs aren't being met. It would be easier if they said, I need a little one-on-one time. But it's up to us, their parents, to learn their language. And once you figure it out, you don't really have to say much at all. A thought from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Joining us now is Ron Simpson, a man who's living under the threat of diabetes. So, Ron, how'd you get in trouble?
Well, it's a long story. I was raised in a vegetarian home. I knew the health principles from my childhood up.
Right.
And when I was married at age 30, I had a 30-inch waistline. And my wife was a new vegetarian, and soon I found myself working 60 hours a week, and I found that she was tired of the vegetarian diet. She went back, and I didn't have time to cook my own food. So I started relying on fast foods, and I was a vegetarian, so I ordered a lot of pizzas, ate a lot of French fries, you know, because that's what's available if you're not eating meat in a fast food restaurant. It's still high fat.
Yeah, it is.
And so, and I also relied on a lot of soda. I just started drinking soda like water.
Is that right?
And I just, you know, to stay awake, I was using caffeinated beverages, and I was drinking 2 liters a day at sometimes for of caffeinated soda.
Or is it diet soda, Ron?
Oh no, I didn't like diet sodas, and so I was getting a lot of sugar and a lot of caffeine and a lot of fat.
Yeah, you were.
And I think over about 10 years, I gained about 100 pounds.
10 years, 100 pounds.
That's right.
That's pretty quick. So what has that done to your health?
Well, I have high blood pressure. I was tested for diabetes, and I had they wanted me to have 3 separate fasting blood tests, and they said if you're positive on 2, that's a positive for diabetes, and I was positive on 1.
On 1.
So that was a red flag. My weight was a red flag. My high blood pressure was a red flag. My cholesterol was a red flag. The fact that my cholesterol was high, but also that my bad cholesterol and my good cholesterol was out of balance on the bad side.
Gotcha.
So those were all symptoms that I was getting myself into trouble and headed the wrong direction.
What about your parents? What size are they?
I'm the only one with a weight problem in my family. My parents are both 76. They're very active and healthy, and they're still vegetarian. And I think I kind of became a cheesetarian. You know, if it didn't have cheese in it, I wouldn't eat it.
So what are you doing now to get out of trouble?
Well, I'm working with a doctor at Preventive Medicine Department at Loma Linda, and this is a new thing. So I'm on a blood pressure medication, and I talk to my doctor regularly about what I'm eating. I wasn't paying attention at all to calories. I had no clue where really my worst problems were coming from, and I could only guess. And you know, I was the kind of person, if I'd open a bag of chips, I'd finish it.
Sure.
So you're a lot like John here.
And so
I would be Ron's size. I used to be 50 pounds heavier than I am
Oh,
now.
really?
Oh, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, when I was fortunately, I changed my diet in my mid-20s, but
Right.
I mean, I'd have been sitting right where you are, and because I love to eat, and that was all that was available.
I like the thing about the whole pepperoni pizza, because I can't count how many times I've thought, well, I'll order a pizza, I'll eat half and save half.
Save half. Yeah.
Never
It's all
works.
gone.
No, you finish the whole thing.
So are you losing weight now?
I'm staying steady. I've stopped gaining weight, and I'm making changes. In some respects, I do believe in the moderation. So
Yeah.
I've been able to cut back, and I've been able to focus on healthier foods, and I've made some changes, and it's, you know, I'm getting more active.
Okay.
What about the idea of going back and eating like you did when you were a child, or eating like your parents eat?
You know, for me, it's never been an issue of knowing what to do. For a lot of people, it is.
Right.
But I've always known, and so there's other issues like, you know, just depression or you know, comfort food, or just emotional eating, you know, and things like that, as well as convenience. You know, how many times you come home and you just say, well, I'll just order pizza.
What's in your fridge
You know,
now,
for
Ron?
delivery. Well, I have a lot of soda in my fridge right now, but you know what? I'm at the point now where I probably have 1 can of soda every other day.
What's
average.
healthy in your cupboards or your fridge?
Well, I like the potatoes. I like the vegetables. I have a lot of bananas, but those aren't in the refrigerator.
That's okay.
But yeah, you know, for breakfast I like a granola with soy milk and a banana.
Well, it's obvious that you're starting to make some changes, and we applaud those changes, and we know that more is coming for you as well. And we'll be right back with a final word from our doctors right after this break.
Watch TV and learn English at the same time on Hello Channel.
We've got just a moment or two. Ron, do you have one word for us?
Yes, actually, I would say there's 2 elements, and for me, the one is knowing what to do, and I've always known that. Some people don't know that, and the other is actually doing it, and that's where the battle comes down for a lot of us, is just step up and do it.
Dr. Cheng?
And I would say, Ron, I just applaud you, because to go from 2 liters a day of soda to 1 can every other day, that's huge progress. And you stayed steady for a year, and just keep at it. Every day, do something different.
Dr. McDougall?
Life's short. You know, really, I mean, you got to take account of things, and you make a decision. And once you make that decision, like it sounds like you're about to do, then, you know, things seem to work out. And you know what to do. Hopefully a lot of the listeners know what to do.
Right.
And it's just the next step is just decide, look, I'm not going to eat that junk anymore. I'm going to fill up on healthy things and go for a walk every day. And it's amazing how easy it is once you've done it for a short time.
That's right. Well, Ron, we do applaud you. Anyone who is watching as well, who has some challenging things ahead of you, pay attention as well. Make some good choices. Our thanks to you for joining us today. For more information, please visit our website at lifestyle.org, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching.